Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. This video is sponsored by Aiarty. Aiarty is an image enhancement software powered by AI. Aiarty reached out to me and asked for a sponsored video, but let me be transparent. This is my authentic and real world opinion of Aiarty. I'm not being told what to say or to be favorable in any way. So Aiarty offers two programs, Aiarty Image Enhancer for photography and Aiarty Video Enhancer. In this review, we will be looking at the Video Enhancer program, and I will be putting it through its paces with challenging Lumix GH2 8-bit footage shot in real world and low light situations. Can Aiarty salvage 15-year-old camera footage shot in 8-bit? Now, all my testing has been done on my MacBook Pro with an Apple M4 Pro chip, 24 gig of memory running the latest OS. I feel it's important to note, particularly when considering processing times and any issues with the software performance. After receiving the software, I found that Aiarty is extremely easy to install and update. The user interface is intuitive and everything appears to be where it should be. To get started, quite simply, you drag and drop footage into Aiarty, or you can click import to import footage into the software. I did notice that at times, batch importing more than 4 or 5 clips with the drag and drop method, the software stalled quite a bit and sometimes failed to import. I find it best to either import a couple of clips at a time with the drag and drop method, or for assured importing, use the click import option. Once the footage was imported, I was ready to get testing. So far, everything has been straightforward, but software like this is only as good as the results it produces. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. My Lumix GH2 is hacked with the Moon T7 hack, so I can get bitrate of around 170 megabits per second. This does help with video quality, but this old sensor does not perform well in low light, coupled with the fact that this is a Micro Four Thirds sensor, which brings added difficulty with high ISO performance. I will also show you examples from other cameras such as the Lumix G9, Lumix G80, and Canon 650D. If you are shooting with 8-bit footage, you're going to want to stick around.
Now, to be fair, I don't think software like this is best judged only by the absolute worst footage you can throw at it. It's often more useful as a way to improve already decent clips, reduce subtle noise, upscale all the footage, and create smoother slow motion.
From a recent video project I did, GH2 at night, I had a lot of real world clips shot at ISO values of 3200 and 6400. I exported the sequence from DaVinci without any grade or corrections and processed the sequence, which was around 3 minutes and 36 seconds long. This would be my challenging video to throw at Aiarty. There are 3 different AI modes in Aiarty. Smooth AI mode. This mode is for light interior shots and people. The mode detail mode for exterior shots of nature and talking head portrait shots. And then we have the super video mode for the most difficult of shots, i.e. low light 8-bit video footage. You can adjust the strength of deblur, sharpness and denoise with the strength slider. Now the slider does its job, but I would have preferred that the slider wasn't universal and the strength for denoise, sharpness and detail, etc. were all separate. This would give me more control over the image and may on times give me better results. So I have my sequence and it's very noisy. I ran it through both the mode detail and smooth mode, and I don't notice much difference in its results. Both exports of the software are struggling with high ISO footage. Also, these exports were upscaled to 4K, so thinking that upscaling was simply asking too much, I tried a HD export and we see a little improvement, but it's still not really making any acceptable improvement to the image, specifically those 3200 and 6400 clips. We also have the super video mode, which is designed for challenging footage like this. I decided on this mode with the slider set to full strength, and I also checked step mode, which helps with performance by reducing VRAM usage and improving video quality at the same time. 17 hours later, I had a roughly 4 gig file to review. The settings I chose definitely went to work, to the extent that imperfections within the video, such as moire, were enhanced and sharpened, not what I was looking for. The denoise also made very little difference to the color noise and banded in the image. Instead of recovering the finer details and textures in the darker areas, those areas were smoothed over, giving parts of the image an unnatural plastic-looking appearance. Were these the wrong settings, or is my footage too far gone? I did reach out to Aiarty for some advice, and I will let you know in the comments what they recommend. So this test was with high ISO real-world clips. What about studio tests with high ISO? Well, let's look at some clips at different ISO values. All these clips were shot with the GH2 and Panasonic 12-35 f2.8 at f2.8. I used one light in a dark room, and for each shot I tried to keep the exposure the same. Also, the strength of denoise and sharpness I used for each clip was governed by what I saw happening to my skin and facial features during the preview. If it looked too plasticky, then I went no further with the slider. Also, no upscaling and no step mode was used. A little disclaimer here, mode detail mode was used, and perhaps not the best option for this scenario, but other modes are compared, so let's take a look. ISO 400. It looks good, although you would expect this to be the case at this ISO value. ISO 800. Does well with noise and my face looks natural. ISO 1600, there is noise and some color noise. Skin's starting to look a little unnatural, but not too bad. ISO 3200, not that great, strength is only at 0.43 and my skin is starting to look like a rubber mat. ISO 6400, not good at all. After this test, I wanted to see how well the ISO 6400 clip would do with the super video mode and strength set to 0.65, a little more than before. And it did look slightly better in terms of color and slightly smoother, but overall high ISO levels on the GH2 is just too much for Aiarty to handle.
Because mode detail may not have been the best option for this type of footage, I also tested the same ISO 6400 clip using smooth AI and super video with more conservative settings rather than pushing the strength slider to maximum. Super video gave me the best overall result with a slightly smoother and cleaner image, but even then the GH2 ISO 6400 footage is still a very tough starting point. The more conservative setting did help avoid some of the plasticky look, but it couldn't fully recover detail that simply wasn't there in the original file. But this is obviously an extreme stress test, so I also wanted to try Aiarty with footage that represents a more typical use case, footage that is already fairly usable but could benefit from some subtle cleanup, upscaling or a little extra polish. For this next test, I used some cleaner HD footage that was already fairly usable. At normal viewing size, the results look good. The software is working really well here, but I've also punched in so you can see the difference a bit more clearly. This is where Aiarty makes the most sense to me. It's not trying to rescue completely destroyed footage, it's taking something that already looks decent and giving it a cleaner, sharper, more polished finish.
Image enhancement is only one part of Aiarty, so I also wanted to see how well it handled frame interpolation and slow motion. I took some 23.976 frames per second HD footage and turned it into 4K 60 frames per second footage, and the results were good. I then did the same for Lumix G9 4K 60 frames per second footage and exported this as a 4K 120 FPS clip, and wow, it looked really good. Because the original footage was Vlog L, I exported it from Aiarty at ProRes 422. This allowed me to maintain all the detail of the original clip and then putting that clip back into DaVinci Resolve and adding my Vlog LUT, and it looked really nice. Now, frame interpolation isn't a miracle tool, and you will find if you push 24 frames per second or 25 frames per second footage all the way to 120 frames per second footage, you'll start to see some strange frame blending artifacts. But if you reasonably increase the frames per second, I think the end result will look good. Now, from using this software, there are a few workflow features that I really like. If you close the program, it asks you whether you want to continue where you left off next time you open it, which is handy if you've accidentally quit or restarted your computer. You can also trim clips before processing, which is great if you're testing settings and don't want to wait around to export an entire video. Batch exports are really useful too, and you can even set the computer to shut down once the export has finished. Perfect for those overnight renders. Another feature I really like is the exported file names automatically included in the processing settings. So there's no guessing which export, use which model or resolution. You can even customize the file names further, making it much easier to compare multiple test renders.
I also tested turbo mode using the same clip and the same settings, just to see how much time it saved and whether there was an obvious quality difference. In my test, the export was faster, but I could see a slight quality difference, so I probably use turbo mode for quicker drafts or less critical clips, and leave it off when I want the best possible results.
There are also tools for cropping and color adjustments. I haven't really used those as I prefer to do that in DaVinci Resolve, but it's nice to have those options. Finally, there's the built-in help system. If you're unsure what a setting does, the help links take you straight to the relevant page on Aiarty's website with more detailed explanations. One thing that really stood out during my testing was that the harder I pushed the software, the worse the results often became. The strength slider definitely isn't for the faint-hearted, and pushing it to maximum usually produced images that looked overly processed and plasticky. Where this software really shines, in my opinion, is taking already good-looking 8-bit footage, upscaling it and applying more conservative settings of around 0.40 to 0.55. The footage still looks fresh and natural, making it ideal for breathing new life into old holiday videos, upscaling HD footage to 4K, or simply reducing subtle noise in video clips. So my final conclusion on Aiarty: can this software turn low-light, high ISO 8-bit footage into clean, crisp 4K video? No, it can't. And to be honest, I don't think AI enhancement technology is quite there yet. The biggest problem is that the software can't always tell the difference between genuine image detail and unwanted artifacts like moire, color noise, and compression. As a result, it often sharpens things you don't want sharpened while smoothing away details you do want to keep. That's why when you really push the software on poor quality footage, the image can start to look artificial and plasticky rather than cleaner. But as I mentioned earlier, that's not what I think this software is at its best. For me, its real strength is taking already decent HD footage, reducing subtle noise, upscaling it to 4K, and breathing new life into older clips. Used like that, I think it's a generally useful piece of software. So that's my honest opinion on Aiarty after spending quite a bit of time testing it. Thanks again to Aiarty for sponsoring this video and allowing me to share my own genuine thoughts.
If you want to check out Aiarty for yourself, I'll leave all the relevant links below, along with the promo details, discount code, and information on the lifetime license in the description and pinned comment.
If you've got any questions or you've used Aiarty yourself, let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.